As political and legal debates surrounding marijuana continue throughout the country, newly released data suggests that the enforcement of laws related to such drugs is not occurring fairly. Black people in West Virginia are 7.3 times more likely than white people to be arrested for cannabis possession despite national usage rates being similar, a report recently released by the American Civil Liberties Union of West Virginia reveals. The report, which examines cannabis-related arrests from 2010 through 2018, also shows that in every U.S. state, black people are arrested at higher rates than white people for cannabis possession. Eli Baumwell, ACLU West Virginia Policy Director, said, quote, "This report makes clear what many of us have known for some time, which is that West Virginia is one of the worst in the nation for how it treats cannabis offenses both in terms of overall arrests and racial disparities. This is inexcusable." The report found that there were nearly 9,000 cannabis arrests made in West Virginia in 2018. The same year, there were more than 600,000 cannabis-related arrests nationally, which is 100,000 more than were made in 2015. In recent years, the number of cannabis arrests made nationally has been more than the number of arrests made for all violent crimes combined. According to the report, Preston and Putnam counties have the worst racial disparities in cannabis arrests among West Virginia counties that meet population and reporting thresholds. In both Preston and Putnam counties, black people are 25 times more likely than white people to be arrested for cannabis-related offenses. The data indicates Campbell County, where black people are 3.4 times more likely than white people to be arrested, has the lowest racial disparity in cannabis arrests in the state and slightly lower than the national average. Data from other counties, such as Tyler, Clay, and Tucker, do not technically meet reporting thresholds because the black populations there are so low. However, the picture painted by the available data certainly is not pretty. The report indicates that West Virginia's racial disparity in cannabis arrests is worse than every other U.S. state except Montana, Kentucky, and Illinois, and is more than twice the national average. Nationally, black people are more than 3.6 times more likely than white people to be arrested for cannabis-related offenses. The report shows that from 2010 through 2018, cannabis possession arrests have increased nearly 50% in West Virginia, and racial disparities have not improved. West Virginia is one of only 10 states in the U.S. where black people are more than 5 times more likely than white people to be arrested for possession. You may think that such issues with cannabis-related arrests would be low priority in a country where more than half the states have either legalized or decriminalized the drug, but the report reveals that even since states have begun legalizing cannabis, arrests have still risen nationally. And even some states where marijuana has technically been legalized or decriminalized, they're still having significant issues implementing those laws, meaning arrests are still being made at similar or even higher rates than before. One such state is West Virginia, where Governor Jim Justice signed the medical marijuana bill, SB 386, into law more than 3 years ago in April 2017. But according to Delegate Sean Hornbuckle of Campbell County, progress has all but stalled since then.
You see, now we're in 2020, and we forget having a permit. To my knowledge, we don't even have a licensing process for the users, like the medicinal cars. We don't even have, to my knowledge, a process, a protocol in place to see who would qualify to have a medical cannabis card.
Hornbuckle, who is a co-sponsor of state legislation to legalize cannabis, said racial disparities in cannabis arrests, both statewide and nationwide, can likely be attributed to stereotypes and misinformation about cannabis perpetuated by politicians and other powerful officials, particularly those keen on ensuring that usage of cannabis remains a crime.
It is of my opinion that, one, there's still a lot of misinformation and falsehoods about cannabis, and there's still a lot of folks in our society that try to demonize it, and not only demonize it, they try to they try to correlate it to certain groups of people and things like that. It's very fascinating, actually. It's sick, but it's fascinating how they try to depict who the users are and why they use it and things like that, and it feeds into different stereotypes of people.
Hornbuckle said racial disparities in cannabis arrests also likely are a result of disproportionate levels of poverty in black and minority communities and disproportionate targeting of those communities by law enforcement.
Yes. Folks that are, in the community and people that are a part of government, all these people that want change and the people that have power to impact change, well then, I find it odd that, ever since the 80s, in the Ronald Reagan years, when prison populations started to explode, all right, the numbers and the disparities between people of color, African Americans, all right, and some, Mexican Latinos versus whites, it's just exponentially higher than the white folks in the jail, and doesn't match up with what our population is. But if we go in other places and we just sit there, then you're still going to find things. It's you're going to find things where you're looking at it for, where you're looking for it at.
Hornbuckle noted that since the war on drugs began and more arrests started to be made nationally for low-level offenses like drug possession, drug usage has only increased in the vast majority of communities.
We also know, anecdotally, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but anecdotally, I'm sure you can probably attest to this, that drug use has exploded since then. Drugs are still on the rise and more than they are forever, but there's only certain people that are locked up. Well, that tells me that I'm not saying that somebody else should be locked up, but I think there should be equity there. It's just 1 + 1 = 2. So somebody's getting a free pass. Drugs are continuously on the rise in our society. Well, somebody's not getting arrested here.